What's up, people? I'm Shaggy the Opinionated Hippie, continuing my deep dive into Weird Al Yankovic's studio catalog. Doing this because Dr. Demento recently announced that he was retiring. I listened to Dr. Demento every Sunday night in the late 70s, early 80s, sometimes for 4 hours because he had a 4 hour show, at least for the hour where he did the top 10. I was exposed to Frank Zappa for the first time, Weird Al for the first time. Probably helped shape my sense of humor and my taste in music, I have to think, to some degree. But I'm not familiar with the Weird Al album, so I'm diving into these. This stuff is like candy. It's just, I don't know. It's like you just want to keep eating more and you're not really sure you feel good when you're done, but you still kind of want more. But anyways, I'm going to talk about his third album, just talk about it, not play music. Then I'm going to rank it among the other two that I've already done. Today I'm going to talk about Dare to Be Stupid, his third, released in 1985. Just right off the bat, it sounds like a mid-80s album. I think the production is a little more sterile than the other two. The first one was beautifully sort of amateurish in a weird way. The second one, obviously better produced, but it just had a warmth to it. So there's that. The second thing is Rick Derringer also produced this one and plays guitar on it, which I don't know why. I think that's fascinating that Derringer is so heavily involved in these first three Weird Al albums and maybe more. But I think we get the problem with Weird Al on this album. And he has to parody songs. He's a parodist. A parodist, he's some guy who does parody. You have to buy into that if you're going to review his albums. And I think on his previous album, his previous two albums, his choice of parodies were inspired. And you're like, yeah, all right, I don't need Brady Bunch done to the safety dance, but I'm going to enjoy it when I listen to it, among others. And so for this one, it really looks like what happened was he's like, it's 1985 or late 84. Let's find what's in the top of the charts. What is everybody listening to? And let's do parodies of those songs. But do they need to be parodied? Like, is there a reason these are done? And you look at the choice of songs and you look at how he parodies in them. I'm going to parody in them. What he does with them. And you're just like, really? Yeah, it's commitment and he's thorough with it and the songs sound good, but Like a Virgin, Madonna's Like a Virgin, turns it into Like a Surgeon. But why, right? But why? I Want a New Drug by Huey Lewis and the News. I Want a New Duck. I Want a New Duck. And while I have to admit, I do kind of like some of the lines in I Want a New Duck, it's literally just like I want a new duck. I want him to wash my car. I want one that won't steal my beer. It's just a bunch of absurdist jokes. But I do like the line, one that won't drive me crazy, waddling all around. Like, yeah, that was pretty good. But why? There's just no reason why. And then I think that was it. Those two. You're just like, why are we doing these two things? Oh, there was another one. Girls Just Want to Have Fun. It's girls just want to have lunch. But why? But why? Though I will say maybe the funniest moment on this album comes in Girls Just Want to Have Lunch. I think there's some good lines. I think his lyrics, like his commitment to the bit, is always 100%. But the beginning of Girls Just Want to Have Lunch, the music so much sounds like Cyndi Lauper that when Weird Al starts singing, it's kind of funny because it's not Cyndi Lauper and he's playing a character who's kind of this brash, rude man who's just going to take women out and buy them lunch because that's what they want. But the harshness of his vocal is laugh out loud funny because Weird Al can sing. He proves that in other songs, but he chooses not to in this song. And it's, I don't know, I think it's kind of funny. However, this album does have maybe the greatest parody he's ever done. Yeah, yes. And so you can't dismiss the entire album. But let's go through it song by song. Opens up with Like a Surgeon. Oh, and that opens up with the machine that goes beep. We hear the beep, beep. And then when the song starts, the beep kind of gets incorporated into the rhythm. And then they drop it. I wish they had kept it for the whole time. It's kind of sterile musically. I think what he does well is he like replicates the music of the song, and I think in this case it really just sounds like the song, and then he's like singing over it, and it does feel like this almost like amateurish, like, he just removed the vocal and added his own. Like that's both the benefit, the positive and the negative of doing what he does so well is when the vocal doesn't hit or the vocal doesn't sell, there is this weird disconnect between the music and what he's doing in it. I don't know, it becomes sterile in a weird way. Dare to Be Stupid is like a Devo type thing. Doesn't really sound like a particular Devo song, but a bunch of Devo songs. Yeah, don't really like it. It's kind of just a list of like cliches and sayings, and does give a mashed potato reference, so we get a little Spud Boy shout out maybe. I Want a New Doc. Just why? I just don't know why this exists, though. Waddling all around, I think, is a pretty good line. We get a 50s doo-wop number called One More Minute, and it's pretty much the whole idea is like this guy's brokenhearted. I think she broke up with him, and he's just this list of things that he would rather do than spend one more minute with you, and they're like more extreme, and they get violent, and they end with him getting his heart ripped out. Spoiler alert. But I don't know. I think like, didn't Monty Python do a skit like this, or somebody's done a skit like this before? I don't know, but it just, whatever. But then we get what I'm going to argue is the greatest parody song of all time, his cover of Lola, Yoda. Takes Empire Strikes Back, pretty much just wraps that all up in this little story song, all from Luke singing to Yoda, essentially, is what it is. One of the last lines is, I'll be playing this part until I'm old and gray. Yeah, that kind of turned out to be true. You weren't too happy about it either, at least in the movie. Yeah, this is just great. I sing this song to myself all the time. Giant carbonated soda, SODA soda. I mean, this is an outright classic. It makes the album, like, if you're going to buy, I'm sure this is on a greatest hit, so nullifies this statement. But if there wasn't a greatest hits and you were looking for a reason to buy this album, Yoda kind of requires that you buy this album. Then we get a cover of the theme song to George of the Jungle, the cartoon. Great theme song. I grew up watching that on TV, but not really sure we need this. Interesting choice. A song called Slime Creatures from Outer Space, which is like sort of this hyper frantic synth pop. I read somewhere that this was sort of inspired by Thomas Dolby's Hyperactive, which is a much better song. They both do have this really effective kind of solo bass, not a bass solo, but in the verses, pretty much there's no instrumentation, but there's really funky bass kind of pushing things forward. That kind of works. The energy matches Hyperactive. Hyperactive is a fantastic, fantastic song. This is really, I mean, it's kind of the same vein as Frank Zappa's Cheapness, but Cheapness is really, really good. I don't know. The music kind of wins me over because it is in that sort of frantic early 80s psych pop vein, but lyrically it doesn't do much. Then we get Girls Just Want to Have Lunch, which is just, I'm not really sure why. Musical hands are back. That little middle percussion section or whatever they're doing, in the middle of that, they got some musical hands back. So that returns from the first album. Then we get a song called This Is the Life, which was used in Johnny Dangerously. So we get This Is the Life, which is kind of a parody of, of a gangster lifestyle lyrically. It's using 20s and 30s like jazz music, used for a movie, Johnny Dangerously, which was itself a parody of gangster movies. So it's interesting that the parody is being used for the parody, but I guess that does make sense. Or is it levels? I don't know. It seems like it should be more confusing than it is, and maybe it's not. But yeah. A song called Cable TV, which kind of sounds like mid-70s pop rock. I read somewhere that this was inspired by Elton John's Hercules off Honky Chateau. I guess there's similarities. There's kind of that same like acoustic-driven big drum bounce to it, and sort of just some. You could see Elton John singing this on Cable TV, so it makes sense. So maybe it is inspired by that, or maybe somebody just decided that's what they thought. But I see the resemblance, but it's definitely not a takeoff of that song. Um, and then and it's really kind of crazy to listen to this song about cable TV and now how all the choices he has back in 1985, when now literally I can pick up a device and have thousands, if not tens of thousands, if not millions, maybe more choices on a, yeah, we've gone a long way in 40 years. And then the last thing is Hooked on Polka, his polka medley. Hooked on Polkas, hooked on Polka. Interesting listening to this because I'm wondering if there's a number of songs in which he's like, well, you know what? I maybe shouldn't have picked that one, maybe picked another one. So these are the songs that I got. I think there were probably like polka references I'm not getting because I don't know my polka, but these are the rock songs he does. State of Shock, that Mick Jagger Jackson song. Wow, I forgot that even existed. Sharp Dressed Man, okay, I'm okay with that. What's Love Got to Do with It? Method of Modern Love, I think the only part of that is they go METHODOFLOVE. I think that's it, right? It's just like, that's it. But again, that's a weird choice. Do you even know who Method of Modern? I mean, if you were around back then, you do. But how many people now still are like, Hall & Oates, yeah, man, remember Method of Modern Love? Interesting choice. Owner of a Lonely Heart, and they include the bunch of the weird drum bursts in the middle. Good choice there. Nice little neat thing there. We're Not Gonna Take It. Good choice. 99 Luftballons in German. Good choice. Footloose. The Reflex by Duran Duran. Thought that was an interesting little choice. The Reflex is the... Wow. Bang Your Head. Mental Health Will Drive You Mad. Good choice. And then Relax by Frankie Goes to Hollywood. But The Reflex, that's kind of a weird choice. Is that a popular Duran Duran song? And Method of Modern Love, that's just like, wow. And State of Shock, I forgot that existed. But I have to admit, on the whole, I did not enjoy this one as much as I enjoyed the first two. That is where I would rank it as number 3. I just thought Like a Surgeon, I Want a New Doc, Girls Just Want to Have Lunch. Like, I feel like if I was sitting around like my junior high school class with my friends and we were going to write a parody of a song, like these are ideas we would have come up with. Like we probably wouldn't have had the commitment and like the ability to really make the whole song work the way he does lyrically. But the basic idea, Like a Surgeon and Like a Virgin, they just rhyme. I Want a New Duck and I Want a New Drug. They both start with D's and go, Girls Just Want to Have Lunch. Fun and lunch, like half of fun, 2/3 of fun is in the word lunch. So I'm really not impressed with those. But Yoda, straight up stone cold classic. Stone cold classic. All right, that's all I got. Thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts on this album, Weird Al, parody music, all that kind of stuff. I understand I'm being harsh on a guy whose career is about parody music, but the last 2 albums prove that when it's done well, it works. So I feel like I can be harsh. So sorry about that. Anyways, that's all I got. Thanks for watching. Peace. Talk to you later.